As you may see, that ForeignAdmits has or been organizing a lot of workshops, events, mentorship sessions, and we are famous to get you one of the top-notch coveted mentors from all across the world. You name it, we might have it also. So go to foreignadmins.com/mentors and find the mentors of your choice. Okay. So before we begin, let me share a very interesting project with you, something that was going to inspire you to study abroad, something that has never been done in the history before, something that is going to be really special. So that is basically helping you to dream bigger, and that's the name of the scholarship that we have launched. It is the India's largest private study abroad scholarship launched by Foreign Habits. And guess the amount. So I'm sure you would have guessed it right. If not, we have launched $1 million scholarship. Yes, absolutely. $1 million worth of scholarship has been given through the universities to all of you, whoever is applying through foreign admits. Isn't that amazing? But yes, let's get connected to the most interesting event, that is study abroad. And right now we are focusing on one of the very interesting topic about media studies. Okay. And we have brought in an amazing speaker who has learned media studies, who's doing really amazing job. She is also an RJ in the university. Unfortunately, I was one of the student at that university too, and she runs an amazing radio channel, which is, I'm not going to name that. Let her name this. I'm going to keep it surprise, but she runs amazing radio channel in Australia, and a lot of fan followers she has. Okay, so let me invite and introduce you to Miss Manmeet Kaur from Monash University. Hi, Manmeet. Manmeet, your audio is mute. Can you unmute it?
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Wonderful. How are you? How are you doing?
I'm good, Manmeet. How are you? How are things going on?
Things are going really well now, I would say. Wouldn't deny that that Australia and Melbourne has, come out of, not completely, but come out of COVID quite well. So now I would say it's a beautiful Christmas for all of us. Christmas came, bearing presents with a few restrictions easing out and our lives coming back with on track with smiles.
Interesting. So, Manmeet, since we are doing this session as a pre-conference, we
Yeah,
wanted students to understand, very, very niche and untapped courses, okay,
yeah.
and where students have not explored that much. Those are
Okay.
very new career options, as you see in
Yeah.
India, okay. So, let's start from, where you were, what was your background in India, and what made you choose such kind of subjects, and what are you currently doing? How's it transitioning?
Okay, let's begin with that. To add on answering your question, Nikhil, I did my bachelor's in management studies, and I did my majors in finance. So that was completely out of the blue. While I was doing my bachelor's, I was really active in my university, taking up leadership roles, taking up a lot of participation in different different committees and different what do you say, festivals, all of that. So I was really, I was like the road runner, a part of everything. I wanted to be just everywhere, and also my classes, of course. So while I was studying my bachelor's in management studies, I was exploring this new side of myself, which was a people's person. Okay, I love being around people. Enjoyed being in crowds. I enjoyed talking to people, and I loved taking up leadership roles. So I took part in the entrepreneurship development cell. I was a chairperson there. I was in the SIS Skyline. I was in my college festival. I was in my college committee. I was like I just wanted to be there everywhere along with my academics. So that's one personality of mine which I discovered during my bachelor's. And that's when I thought about, taking something in the, not exactly in the media field, but first thing that came to my mind is public relations, that I really wanted to explore. But again, I was so not sure, because I'm sure everyone has those, questions in that mind that should I, shouldn't I mean, I just did finance, and I just want to, completely leave that track and go into media and public relations and something like that. So I was really skeptical about this decision of mine. So taking, keeping everything in, all these questions in my mind, I thought of taking up with communications, because I felt that could open a wider scope for me, and that could just give me some time to also figure out what I really wanted to do. Did I want to go in PR? Did I want to go in corporate communication and all the other fields that came along? So for me, how this worked out is that when I took up finance, I I scored well. Yes, I wouldn't even deny. I scored well. I did good in my academics, but when I was not enjoying it, I was not enjoying what I was doing, what I was studying, and I did not connect with it. So that was one thing that I felt that I am able to do it, but am I happy doing this? Not really. When I got that answer to that question, is when I decided that I really want to explore this, the arts field, where communication falls in place. So I really wanted to, shift my track there, and I just kind of listened to myself and followed something that I enjoyed doing. So that's how I decided to pave my way into communications.
Interesting. I think that was really interesting to follow that inner call. Let's get to a little bit more in depth. What kind of college did you study? Where did you study in India? And then when did you plan? In the due course of time that you need to
Hmm.
go abroad.
Okay. So, Nikhil, I did my bachelor's from SIS College of Arts, Science and Commerce, which is South Indian Education Society of Arts, Science and Commerce in Sion West. I was there for 3 years, of course, and while I was studying, I definitely knew that I want to do my postgrad or an MBA or something. So, while I was in my third year, I started exploring opportunities and options in India and abroad. So I was never very much inclined. Not, I wouldn't say inclined, but I was not so much focused on only going abroad. I was also exploring my options in India and never shut those doors. But what I just felt is that I really wanted to see the world. I just wanted to be out there, and I wanted to experience a university life. How an international university would be. I wanted to graduate from an international university. I wanted that I wanted that degree with me. So that's how I started hunting and looking out at universities internationally. My whole search started from Singapore, because of course I come from a very closely knit family. I come from a joint family in India, a typical Punjabi family, a family of 8, where I've never been alone. I've always had someone around me, and convincing them was a very big challenge. So it all started from Singapore. Okay, Papa, it's only 3 hours or 4 hours of flight. You can easily reach me there. So it's pretty convenient, Dad. Can I just start looking at it? So I started with NUS, NTU. I started looking at the best universities, because I had no intention of compromising on the quality of education. Absolutely not. I wanted to do if I was very clear in my mind. If I want to do it, I want to do it from the best. That's it. So I was started looking at NUS, NTU. Then Singapore did not was out of question, because they required this work experience for any master's degree or an MBA degree, and or else I was not able to connect with the courses that they were offering. So that's how that started ruling out. US was also an option. Then my dad, we had been to US, so my dad said, why don't you look at US? But again, I had a lot of family friends there, and I was just not very confident on picking up US. Meanwhile, when all of these things were happening and I was doing my research, Harvard Project for Asian and International Relations happened. You very well know about that. So as you just mentioned that you have also you've met me through that conference. Yes, I
Absolutely.
would like to tell you all that while this whole thing was happening, I met a friend and he told me about this Edge Fair 2017, which is happening in Sydney. I was like, no chance can I get it. I was like, it's not happening. I mean, I am not going to get through it. See, my friend, he really motivated me. He was like, just go for it. Give it a try. Give it a shot. I went for it. I applied for it while all these things were happening, while I was in the biggest dilemma of my life of to do a master's, not to do a master's, where to do a master's, which university to pick. All these things were happening. And then I was applying for HFAIR conference, which was to be held in Sydney. To my surprise, I got through it. I got through the first. I got a mail which said that my application has been selected, and I was elated. I was absolutely surprised, flabbergasted, everything. I was like, how did this even happen? Went for the Skype interview, got through the Skype interview, and it was really happening. HFAIR 2017, I was going for it. Sydney was exactly where that year's HFAIR conference happened. And that's when my whole journey with Australia started. I
Interesting.
flew to Australia. As of course, Nikhil, you remember, we had University of Sydney as one of our leading sponsors of HFAIR conference, the leading partners, where we got the opportunity to visit the university, go around, get the university vibe, and get to interact with the Aussie, get to experience the Aussie culture, and that was like my first in-person experience with the Australian culture and in multicultural environment. So
Absolutely.
when that happened, I started thinking, why am I not looking at Australia? Why not
Yes.
Australia? And then while I was at University of Sydney, I spoke to my agent and I asked him to, start exploring Australian options. I was looking at, of course, the top universities, which were University of Sydney, New South Wales, Monash, Uni Melbourne, and I think these were the four. And Queensland, I think the Queensland University
Yeah.
of Technology, QUT. So these were my
Yeah.
top five options. I was like, if I'm getting here, I'm getting here. If I'm not, it's okay. I'll look at something else. So that's exactly how Australia happened with me. In that trip, of course, we had already visited University of Sydney. I made a point to come to Melbourne. I flew to Melbourne with my family. My parents also joined me in that trip. Like, they just joined me as a vacation trip, but it was just a trip for them to see, okay, where the daughter is going to study, for them to, check the odds and have a look at the country and the people around. So that's how I came to Melbourne for the first time. It was a beautiful experience. When I came to Monash, I was really welcomed with such a warmth that I felt like, yes, this might be a university that I might resonate with, and I would like to connect with and pursue my higher studies at. And that is exactly how Monash came in my life.
Interesting. So I think one international trip really set the stage for making that selection, and I think your small trip to Monash kind of affected your
My entire
decisions there.
decision. Yes, it
Absolutely. So that's
absolutely
interesting.
did.
Interesting. So tell us a little bit about what did you study exactly there? What were the courses? What's the scope around those courses?
Okay. So I did my master's in media and communication studies. So in this course, of course, there are a lot of core units, a lot of electives that you have an option to select from. The best part about my course was that we had a bundle of options to select the units from. We could also select units from other courses if we wanted to. For example, we started with industrial research as one of our core units. We had media mobility and migration as one of our core units. So the core units were like the base for understanding the whole industry and understanding the research that goes in actually deciphering the whole media industry. So those were the core units, and those were the importance of those core units, I could say. Moving on, as we moved on to the second semester, to the third semester, we had options to pick electives, and the electives, there were a range of them, like really a huge range of them, which also had options of doing an internship, which also had an option of doing an industrial project. So the whole variety of units that I could select from is what some acted as a magnet. I was like, this is something that I would like to tailor make my course to my preferences, to my judgment, to what I want to study. So that was a huge opportunity that Monash gave to tailor make my course the way I wanted to. If I wanted to study, I wanted to do an internship, I was free to do. I did an industrial project as well. Answering your question, Nikhil, we in this course at Monash, I would say I studied a lot of different things, and I got to learn a lot. Starting from the core units, of course, as I just mentioned, moving to the electives. I made sure that I did an internship. So I was fortunate enough to do an internship with Monash itself. So I did a social media internship. I was a social media intern with Monash, which gave me the opportunity to do interview. Actually, we were working on an alumni portfolio. So the websites, the university's website required someone to work on alumni and take their interviews and write those down and create those transcripts and everything. Again, fortunately, I was just at the right place at the right time, and that opportunity landed. Like, I was right there and grabbed that opportunity right away. My course director asked me, "Would you like to do it?" And I was like, "With hands down, I will. I would love to do it." Again, that gave me the opportunity to be on Monash's website. So I have three of my interviews which were conducted on Monash's website. Um, Again, doing an industrial project gave me the opportunity to work with the Museums Victoria. So Museums Victoria was our client, and we had to come up with a PR plan for them, which was very interesting. So we were having, a good melange of theoretical and practical. So that was really one of the biggest takeaways that I had from Monash.
Interesting, interesting. So I think course-wise, it was really interesting because you kind of had a practical, mixed, definitely theoretical experience, which I clearly remember that you used to write a lot of, essays every day. So that was one of the difficult part, I think. But
Yes.
yes, overall, it's a very enjoyable experience in terms of
Yes.
the kind of opportunities that you shared. And trust me, I've been there for a few months there, and it's a university life is so happening that
Absolutely.
you don't get time eventually to you can do work and you can do stuff, you just can't relax. So let's understand a little bit, about your profile building. How did you build a profile to land up into Monash, which is again one of the very reputed universities in
Mhm.
Australia, and a little bit about certain experiences that helped you build your profile.
Okay. So profile building to land in Monash or in Monash?
Before Monash and during Monash.
Okay. So before Monash, when actually, as I just said, I had no, very concrete plans of going international. It was just something that I had kept my doors open for. Um, in my bachelor's, while I was studying, as I had already taken up super like so many leadership roles, I'd already gotten so involved in my extracurriculars and doing and equally doing good in my academics. I think that again it was a good combination which helped me develop and write a beautiful SOP. And of course, as we all know, SOPs are like the key to the door, and we just supposed to nail that SOPs. That's absolutely it. Just talking about your journey and who you are as a person is, I think, what helped me land in Monash. I always have been someone who likes to take initiatives, who wants to be there ahead, who wants to be out there, not just sitting in my room and locking myself up. I love being out there. I love being in front of the camera. I love talking to people. So these are the things that I really wanted to highlight, and these are the things that I felt helped me get into a university like Monash. And while at Monash, to university, live my life the way I always dreamt of, and outshine. That's what I wanted to do. And from day one, I made sure from the orientation to any committee that was recruiting, to TEDx University, to my communications and media postgraduate union of students, Melbourne Fashion Week, Cancer Council Victoria, Arts Education Committee. I was like, I just knew that this is the time of my life. I have to make it worth, because I knew that this time is never going to come back to me. I just have to make sure that I make the most of it. So my whole agenda was very clear. Education, like academics, meet, you have to get a distinction, no pressure. Other than that, build yourself, make friends, make memories, make mistakes, learn from them, get back on track, get on, get there, get out there, and just live your life. That was my whole agenda for the 2 years.
Absolutely, I think probably this is one of the most motivating aspect that a lot of international students fails to see. They are usually burdened, under the 2 year or a 1 year track. That okay, I need to do this, I need to get a job, I need to do that. Probably
Yeah.
sometimes you have to take out and reflect on that. Now let's come to your Monash life. What had happened in Monash, and I got to know before I again, guys, before even I went to Monash, I was hearing, hey, Manmeet has become a celebrity kind of person. I like, wow,
Nothing
that's
like
yeah.
that, Nikhil. Please. Please, please, please. Okay, so what happened in Monash is, as I just told you, my initial 4 months, I was still exploring and experiencing everything that came on my way. I knew again that I cannot be indoors. If I'm indoors, not gonna be able to see or learn. So I made sure I was there for the orientations. I was there for every new what do you say, committees. Let it be non-residential colleges when they were recruiting. I wanted just to be there everywhere. So that's how I started getting involved. The whole process started from, of course, I knew that as a part of communications and media studies, first thing first, I need to be there in my course. I need to be a part of the student union of my course. And from there, I'll start growing. Not just confining myself to Monash, because, of course, I knew that Melbourne is a city of events, and volunteering is such a huge thing in Melbourne. I made sure I started applying for Victoria events, where I was volunteering for Melbourne Fashion Week. I was volunteering with Cancer Council Victoria. 6 months in Monash, and I'd already ticked all these boxes. That was some kind of an achievement for myself, and I was like, I kind of amazed my own self that, okay, Manmeet, you're doing pretty well. Okay, fine. Let's just calm your horses down and focus on a few things, and just channelize your energy and not just divide it so much. So yes, first year, I started with non-residential colleges. I got involved with Radio Monash, and that was a very big what do you say, stepping stone for me. How did Radio Monash happen? Trust me, it was the most random meeting that I went for. I had no idea what was going to happen. I just accompanied my friend coming from Kmart with big plastic bags of buckets in my hand, because, of course, we were just new. We were still shopping for our houses. And she just told me that, Manmeet, I am going for this Radio Monash kind of, like, they have the AGM, and she wanted to start copywriting for them. Why don't you come along? It's something media related, so you might just like it. I was like, okay, let's go. We went there. We spoke to, I think Elizabeth was the president at that time. We were talking to her about the volunteer opportunities, and she told, the moment she said the statement, you can host your show, and I was like, wait, what? You can host your show? I told her, I came very honest. I've never done a show of myself. I've never ever hosted my own show. That's the moment when she told me, that's the reason why we give this platform. That's the whole purpose, for you to get the experience of the first hand experience of being a radio jockey. Coming from Mumbai, radio is something that's very close to my heart. Mumbai has such amazing radio stations, let it be 93.5, 98.3, 134.8. Everything is, your whole drives are all about radios and good conversations. And I always enjoyed it. Something that always mesmerized me. And I've always wanted to do, like this little wish that you have in your heart. It was something like that. And the moment it came across me, I did not let it go. I was like, I don't know how to do it, but I'll figure out how to do it. That's the whole agenda that I had in my mind, because I knew, if I would have sat there and thought, okay, no, yeah, I just don't know, how will I do it? How will I figure it out? How will I sound? How will I, those questions of self doubt, I would have never been able to overcome it. That's when I decided that I just have to go for it. I might fumble, I might be the worst, but I'm sure I will learn something really substantial. And then it just never stopped. I did 4 seasons of radio, and that's the most consistent thing I would say I've done in my entire life. 4 seasons being an RJ. I started my own show called Let's Groove with Bollywood, because, of course, again, coming from the city of Bollywood, I just had to carry that with myself. And even though I knew that my listeners would be very niche, and it would just be very much focused towards the Indian community because they enjoy Bollywood, But to my surprise, a lot of non-Indians, Asians, like from people from Bangladesh, Pakistan, everyone started joining my show, and that was kind of surprising. I had my own Facebook page. I used to do theme-based shows, so radio was a blissful experience for me. It's taught me from being a script person to going impromptu. I still remember my first show that I did. I was I was writing the whole statement and I was reading it out. I won't even. I am not gonna lie. I was reading the script like this, just right in front of me. And the last episode that I did, I just went out. I was like, I'm not gonna take the script now. So the whole transition, the whole learning that whole studio has taught me. I think the studio saw me grow from being a script reader to a heart spoken person. So that was Radio Monash for me.
That's kind of I would say very happening, trust me, to keep up with what you did. There's a lot of things that you need, you need to give instructions for people who are coming, that this is how you're going to be. But I think what I can summarize from what you said, you got to go out, you got to meet people, you got to network, and you got to increase on those networking aspects, because I think that random meeting could have led you running 4 seasons. It's unbelievable, you
It's
know
really
so
unbelievable.
absolutely. So let's understand a little bit from from college. You graduated. Congratulations on that first.
Thank you.
And college to job and the profiles and how the job search is happening. Because I think you graduated in a little bit difficult time of COVID, where everything was down. So that would be, I think, something as a very, very valuable experience that you have. Because in the regular times, no one has. It's a very standard process to go for a job. In the COVID times, the actual metal get tested, right? So
Yes.
how the job search strategies are, what did you plan, how it's going on, what are the prospects, and what are the do's and don'ts that you see for the international aspirants?
Okay, so I graduated in December 2020, which is exactly been a year. I mean, it's exactly a year. I graduated on 12th of December, and it's exactly 15th of December. So yeah, 1 year to my graduation. After I graduated, I did give myself like a 4 month. Of course, that was pre-COVID. I'm talking pre-COVID. What my thought process was, I had given myself a time of 4 to 5 months because I was very skeptical. How will I land up a job? How will I get through the whole job hunting thing? Because for international students, it's a bit challenging as compared to the others. The reason being that we have a visa for a limited span of time, and of course, a lot of companies prefer people with with a more certainty about they staying back, and not with that uncertainty of they might just leave the company at a certain point or something on those lines. So having said that, it was a pretty difficult road to start walking on. The whole strategy was to just go for it. Just keep applying rigorously was one of the very biggest thing that I had to keep doing. Not restricting myself on one channel or two channels, but having at least 10 channels up there, getting sure my profile is up, my profile is up to date, making sure my resume is set as per the standards or as per the Australian norms, and then having a word with recruiters, taking guidance from people, taking guidance from my university professors. So professors played a really important role in my life. I made sure always to have a good relation with my professors because they are like my they're like the gurus here. So they are like my academic parents. They've taught me so much. So I've always made sure to have that connection with them. And when I was doing my job search, I did reach out to them. I mean, there's no harm in reaching out to people, is what I realized. There's absolutely no harm in just reaching out to people and speaking to them. And then, yes, that's exactly what I did. I reached out to my professors. I spoke to them and I told them that this is my resume. I was, to my surprise, they themselves gave me some really good inputs on my resume, which was very sweet of them. And because of course they know that I'm an international student and I need to upskill myself or make a few changes or make a few amendments or change my language, make it more professional and sound more authentic or on something on these lines. So taking guidance from the right people was the first thing. Taking guidance and not hesitating to take guidance. Reaching out to people was utmost important because I now think, what if I wouldn't have reached out to my professors? They wouldn't have told me what the right and the wrongs were. After
Yeah.
all, they are the people who have taught us the whole. I mean, everything in our course. So they are the right people to guide us through it. That's the first thing that I did. Second thing was to be out there on all the platforms, not just being on LinkedIn or Jora or just Seek, but being on Indeed, being on all the others, like literally all of them. So that was the strategy number two, to be out and about on all the channels and not restrict yourself and not being picky with the jobs. That was third.
Yes.
You cannot be picky. You cannot just think, okay, how will I do this? How will I do that? You have to learn to do your things, and you cannot just be sit back and say that I won't be able to do it. That is the third thing that I had to make sure. Not being picky. It was like, me, you cannot just sit there and say that this job is not for me, because you are not getting anything there. So whatever you get, you just take it and you learn to get your way around it. That was it. And these are the four things that I practiced, and I was able to land a job for myself in 2 months. In Feb, I landed a job as a media sales coordinator with Australian Community Media. I was working there for, like, I was in office only for a month, and COVID hit the ground. I directly came into work from home, still learning about the industry, still learning about advertisement and everything that went around the whole industry. It did not, of course, it did not continue for a long time, because, of course, things were not very pleasant during the COVID-19. And I was working with them until June. After June, I my job search again begun. It was like, and honestly, the first time you were really motivated to do it. When it happens the second time, that's when the real challenge lies, because
Yes.
you'll have to do the whole process again. You'll have to start talking to people. You have to start talking to your close one. You have to start talking to connections. That's where the whole challenge was, to again go through the whole process. And trust me, because of course we were in lockdown, we couldn't meet anyone, we were always in that 5 kilometer radius. It was the most difficult time for me. I somehow, yes, happened to sail through well. And now that I have landed a second job for myself, I am happily working with the Verve Portraits and in their sales team. It's a photography company, and I have landed myself another one in a span of 2 years. In the span of a year, two jobs in a year. So yeah, I'm happy.
That's really good. I think that experience gonna count for you in the longer period of time, because when you
Yes.
go through the tough time, you kind of build your inner strength on that. Absolutely, I think this is really helpful. So, last and few things, let's discuss about what kind of job boards that you went through, what kind of
Mhm.
sites that you go through as an
Yep.
international student in Australia. If you can name them, I'm gonna probably comment about it in the
Yep.
video, and people can take the resources.
Sure. So I was pretty active on Seek to begin with. LinkedIn jobs, second, yes, big time LinkedIn fan. I reached out to. I was not just, what do you say, applying jobs on LinkedIn. I was talking about myself and a person I am on LinkedIn, and that's where I think people started connecting with me. People started seeing me how I am in a professional front, and I think that worked wonders for me. So LinkedIn, I would very highly recommend people, please make sure your LinkedIn profiles are amazing, because the moment people hear about you or people want to know about you in the professional world, the first thing that comes to their mind is always your LinkedIn profile. You
Yeah.
need to be very up to date with your LinkedIn, because I think that's the first impression that you're going to leave on them. So yeah, LinkedIn was one of my very strong points that I made sure I was very active on. Yes, after that, I think I was pretty active on Indeed. I also, one second, I can just check and tell you. Um, One second, I'm just gonna quickly check what the other names were, because now, okay, so there was Gumtree Jobs, then what a few more jobs. So yes, there was Gumtree Jobs. There was Mumbrella. Yes, I totally forgot about Mumbrella. Mumbrella is more inclined towards the media related jobs. So Mumbrella is also really good. And apart from that, we also have something called the Australian educational jobs. Those were more inclined towards something like, um, eh, university related jobs. So Australian education jobs were good. Jora, again, which is as good as Indeed and Seek, was something where I had my profile as well on. And I think these 6 7 platforms worked well for me. I
Interesting.
honestly would say that the first job I landed was because my professor knew that I was looking for a role. She happened to come across a role, and she just forwarded me the role saying that, I just came across this role. Why don't you just apply for it? I applied for it, I got it. And I was like, what if my professor did not know that I'm looking for that role? What if a professor did not know that I am actually one of the job seekers out there? And that kind of worked in my favor. And the next role, that the one I am currently in, that one was what that one I landed through LinkedIn. So hence, I very very highly emphasize on people, please make sure your LinkedIn profiles are ravishing. Trust me, it's not supposed to be the cliche ones. Make sure you stand out, make sure it talks about you as your personality. And when somebody looks at your profile, they should be like, I want to talk to that person.
Absolutely. I think LinkedIn really works on that. Let's get into some final tips from your side for people who are looking to study abroad and people who are planning for the jobs in Australia.
For people who are planning to study abroad, yes, if you want to come to, if you're planning for Australia, and if you're planning for Melbourne, of course, Melbourne is one of the best livable cities in the world. So yes, of
Yeah,
course, Melbourne is beautiful. It's a land with such multicultural values and integrity that you do not feel that you are, really away from home. Melbourne makes you feel and, engulfs you in its love in a very beautiful manner. So in that way, I genuinely love and appreciate Melbourne. The second thing would be, as an international student, I know we all have a lot of feelings going on, a turmoil of, emotions. How are we going to fit in? The biggest thing is, how will we fit in this culture? Guys, you don't have to fit in, you just have to be yourself. You just have to be yourself, and that's all you got to be. Just be yourself, be out there. Don't restrict yourself. Don't hesitate from saying a hi to anyone, because that's what I've learned here. You just go, hi, how are you? That's it. And then that's where you start the conversation. That's as easy as it. And please just don't be in your social bubbles, because when you're only in your social bubbles, for example, just only hanging out with your own ethnicity, that's when you're constrained and you're confined to that number of people. Break the ceiling, go out, meet people, just initiate conversations, and you just never know whom you meet and whom you make your best friend from other. I mean, I have some great friends from other ethnicities, and I really think to myself, what if I wouldn't have, just taken that initiative and just spoken to them? I mean, things would have been so different. So my one take here would be, please don't hesitate going and meeting people, reaching out to people, and being out there. Don't just sit in your room. You haven't come here to just confine yourself in the room. It's a beautiful city, and it's the best time of your life. Live it like it's never gonna come back.
interesting. So let's understand a little bit about LinkedIn because you talked a lot about LinkedIn. So how
I
was your approach when you were talking to people? How was the first textual conversation? What did you learn out of those conversations?
Okay. So LinkedIn is one of the channels that I love being a part of, and I love being super active on. Though having said that, for the last month, I would say that I'm a bit, taken aback from LinkedIn. But yes, LinkedIn has been, I have been on LinkedIn since I was in my bachelor's. So I was a part of LinkedIn family for a really long time. Even before, when I came to Monash, I met a lot of people, and people were still not on LinkedIn. And I was like, okay, I think that I've at least made it that far to come on that channel. Slowly and steadily, I started, of course, as a part of a course like communications and media. We did learn about social media channels, and LinkedIn was one of them. Fortunate enough to get all the guidance from our professors. We were taught how the whole, the bio should be, how catchy it should be, what you should write, what you should avoid, what's the vibe and the narrative that you want people to get when they read your bio, or when they see your profile, is what you should keep in mind while you make it. That's the whole point. That's point one. I mean, what you would read, which would impress you, or which you might like to read, is what you're supposed to write down there. That's the whole point of LinkedIn. You cannot just write a cliche statement and expect someone to message you. That's not going to happen, because there are like a zillion of profiles out there. Why would someone reach out to you? You need to give them a reason. And your LinkedIn profile, your LinkedIn picture, your LinkedIn cover, all of these, the way you formulate, and how you say, the way you portray yourself is what's going to work wonders for you. I made sure that all my write-ups, all my write-ups that I just spoke about, all my interviews are up on my LinkedIn. All my bios have, I love using icons for my pointers. So I used icons for my pointers, which were very which resembled the kind of role I was talking for. So, for example, if you go and see my LinkedIn, when I wrote about my radio, so I had those headphones as my pointers. When I wrote about my public relations or something, I had pens in my pointers. So something like little things, and I feel that those were little things that people did remember, and they did message me that, hey, we kind of like how you've written those things. So these are the small things that really make a difference. And as you just mentioned, like, Nikhil, I did I did a lot of networking on LinkedIn. I tried to, I was sending connections to people whom I really thought would be very valuable to be added. And I never hesitated on saying, hi, thank you so much for connecting. How are you doing today? Basic, absolute basic. I really want, I very rarely had those incidences where people did not revert to me, because it's only a matter of one statement or initiating a conversation that's sometimes required. And that's what I always did.
Interesting. Having said that, do you want people to connect with you on LinkedIn? I think the audience are asking about it. That where is your LinkedIn? So probably you're gonna go to LinkedIn and you're gonna write Manmeet Kaur. But I'm gonna help you, the audience out. I'm going to comment our LinkedIn profiles so they can easily connect to you and they can follow you on LinkedIn. Let
Yes.
me. Yeah, okay, it's gone. So yeah, let's understand one final closing comment.
Yep.
Going ahead, what do you think? What the future? The kind of I would say jobs are there. What are the newer age jobs that you see in the media industry? Media communication industry.
The new age jobs that I see is very highly connected to social media. Trust me, I see social media interns, social media managers, social media optimizers, something that I actually came across, a new term. Like, they see somebody wants social media optimizers, or something related to media sales, and all these new terms. So social media related jobs are really much in demand. I would say not exactly media, but of course, digital marketing is so much out there, so much out there. It's in abundance, and I think it's somewhere reaching a threshold. There are so many of digital marketing jobs out there. Mentioning about the new media related jobs, I would say, yes, media sales is something that I came across very recently. Um, Social media, and especially regarding particular media channels. So there are a lot of jobs which come only for Facebook. The people want Facebook marketer. They want, an Instagram marketer. So something on very clean, niche channels is what's coming up. To be honest, some very interesting, I'm sorry, very interesting jobs that I came across was also regarding associate roles, associates in media and communications. Of course, when you talk about media, communications also comes a bit hand in hand. So corporate communication related jobs are coming out there. But I would say one thing that I've discovered is there's a very fine line between marketing, communications, and media. I'll be very honest. There's a very fine line, and it depends from the company to company how many of them I recognize and identify, acknowledge these fine lines, and in a lot of companies, these all three things are merged. So you just don't know. That's the reason why please make sure you read the job description, because the job description is what will tell you what is the, what are you expected from that role. And yes, I mean, I still get the question, okay, Manmeet, what's the difference between marketing and public relations and marketing and communications? How is it different? I mean, isn't it all the same? Isn't it like, the flowers of the same bouquet or something like that? So I'm like, yes, I mean, they are the flowers of the same bouquet, but they are different flowers. They're
Flowers.
absolutely different flowers. So that's
I think
absolutely
that's the line of the day. They are the flowers of the same bouquet, but they are different flowers. So yeah,
they are
I'm gonna pick
absolutely
that
different
line.
flowers. So
Sure.
that's the
So
whole point of that's the whole point
interesting.
of the whole media free and the media industry. It's beautiful. It's very interesting to see how different it is from the one that we come from. So the media in India is very different from the one that I've experienced here. I would say, with respect to creativity, with respect to copywriting, with respect to expectations of the clients, there is very different thought process. Of course, here people have another definition of creativity. India has a different kind of a genre. In that way, it's really distinct. But at the end of the day, the crux and the base or the foundation remains the same.
Interesting. So with that, let's come to the questions. So we have a
Yes.
couple of questions lined up. So one
I
question is I'm streaming on the screen.
one second.
What are the necessary things one has to have in the CV for PR studies?
Okay. For public relations studies, I would say more than having something, academics and related to academics, having any kind of an internship in a PR firm, any internship, like even a small internship or any internship is something that can be really valuable. And also press release writing, writing, because public relations has press releases as a really very big part of it. So anything which gives you some experience on copywriting could be a good value addition. So just gives a person a persona that you're good at presenting it verbally and with your written communication. So that's the kind of a persona that you want to give people. So anything which can combine these two things, it could be a very good addition to your CV. I hope
Interesting.
Jalika, I think that's what
No,
I think so.
Jaika.
Jalika, yeah.
Jaika, I know because personally she was an intern with us into media
Oh,
and PR.
okay.
She's been amazing, spokesperson. So yeah, I
Lovely.
think with this we come to an end, and I really thank Manmeet. You came out at the short notice for the pre-conference. So just to give audience a context about what pre-conference is something that we wanted to do for individual speakers from different genre about what kind of studies they are doing, what kind of prospects that you have, and something just beyond the regular trends. We have a lot of hype trends, data sciences, product management, and all, but then there are different niche fields which are doing really well, and a lot of interest also lies in those fields. So with
Right.
this is day three of the pre-conference, and I really thank all the audience and the speaker Manmeet to
Thank
come
you.
at this point of time and made this event a great success. But stay tuned, 19th and 20th, again I'm saying it, is going to be India's largest and the first of its kind mentorship conference. No more university fairs, but more mentorship driven. Let the audience know more candid insights about your career options, your stay options, and a lot more things which you always wanted to discover. So stay tuned. Tomorrow, tonight itself, till midnight, we have two more sessions lined up. So it's going to be really engaging. So you got to subscribe to Foreign Admits YouTube at least, or for our Facebook page to get to know about the updates. And yeah, thank you, audience. It was lovely having you here.
Thank you so much, Nikhil, for having me on this free conference. I truly feel, amazing to be a part of it and having to share my experience with you again. That was the best thing I feel.
Thank you. Thanks, Manmeet.
Thanks again. Bye.
Bye. So, yes, we are coming to the end of the session. I'm going to share a little bit about the scholarship which we have launched in this pandemic. Yes, we have started the Dream Big Scholarship, which is one of the most coveted scholarship as of now, and it's the India's largest private study abroad scholarship. Okay, so yeah, the pre-conference has ended. Exactly at 8:30, do log in. We have another session coming up about Dutch land, Netherlands. Yes, we have an amazing mentor coming from all the way from Netherlands, and is going to talk about some very niche fields into airplanes, flights, space techs, and all those things. Okay, you should not miss that. Okay, so I'm streaming you very soon. Yes, so that was about scholarship. And just on the closing note, I'm sharing what Foreign Admits does. And if you're looking for help and looking for candid advice or mentorship, go to foreignadmits.com/mentors, figure out is the mentor whom you want to talk to, and you can get direct mentorship. Thank you. Thank you guys. You're a lovely audience. Don't miss out 8:30 tonight. We have an amazing mentor coming up. We're gonna stay tuned then. Okay, bye-bye.